Michigan gave Oregon something to battle through on Saturday, and the Ducks did that and more as they keep on rolling on their way towards Indianapolis.
From LA to Piscataway, all Big Ten all year long. This is Big Ten 10.
When we say rolling towards Indianapolis, Oregon has been rolling these last few weeks against the Purdues of the world, against the Illinois of the world, after certainly that big win against Ohio State on October 12th. But this, I think, was a performance. This was a game, I should say, that Oregon, I don't want to say they needed. You always want to come out and play your best. And, these last couple of games, they had certainly been playing their best, especially in the first half when they were able to put games away. But getting pushed back every now and then, actually having your quarterback play in the fourth quarter, deep into the fourth quarter, can be a positive so you can overcome some of these challenges on the road. So it gets you a little bit more battle tested. I won't say that this Michigan win 38-17 is necessarily a battle, but overcoming some of these little things so they're just not so easy prepares you for a Big Ten championship type of scenario, for a college football playoff type of scenario. I said it last week in that win against Illinois that Oregon continues to raise the standard. They continue to kind of play against themselves. Michigan kind of gave them a little bit to fight through, and then they kept on raising that bar. They kept on raising that standard throughout the second half. Certainly finished strong in this football game. Now, here's the thing about Oregon, and we're going to be talking about their depth later on in this reaction, but I've been talking so much about other guys on this Oregon team. There's so many guys to talk about. I kind of haven't spotlighted number 8, and he's the guy that I think everybody certainly should be spotlighting around college football right now. Of course, that's Dillon Gabriel. The first thing, and there were certain things throughout this game that I pinpointed that I think make him such a great quarterback, that I think make him the best quarterback right now in all of college football. This guy is impossible to sack. People talk about mobility when it comes to quarterback. They think of their running threat. They think of bursting through on a read option for a 20 or a 30-yard gain. By the way, that is something that Dillon Gabriel can do, but his mobility and his legs just make him impossible to sack. And it's not maybe just his legs, but it's his mind as well. It's his experience. This is why college football teams go out and get an experienced quarterback. This is why Indiana went out and got a Curtis Rourke. They've been there. They've seen things. They've seen blitz packages. They've seen defenses. And Michigan was doing better in this game in terms of getting on the other side of the line of scrimmage than maybe other teams had been doing against this Oregon Ducks offensive line. So you got to give Michigan a little bit of credit on that, but Dillon's ability to extend the play, to get outside the pocket, whether it's just to throw the football away or whether it's to create another play down the field, is certainly something that really stands out to me as one of his best traits. And another one is his comfortability. And maybe another way to put it is the way he makes me feel comfortable when I'm watching this Oregon Ducks football team. I just feel so comfortable that that nothing bad is going to happen. Or I should say nothing ultra bad is going to happen when Dillon Gabriel is controlling this offense. He always just seems to be in so much control. He is so calm. He is so cool. He is so comfortable. When I watch him, I know whether they punt on a drive or whether they score a touchdown on a drive, I just always feel, and no matter if he's scrambling outside the pocket or whatever he's doing, I just feel so comfortable that he is comfortable in this Will Stein offense, and thus they're eventually going to go down and make plays. Like I said, no matter where they are down the field, no matter what the drive ends up being, that Dillon Gabriel has that factor in him. He has that ability in him where he's going to continue to make plays down the field, whether it's dumping it off or getting it down the field. So he's got a lot of comfort. Those are just some things that I look at when I look at Dillon Gabriel, and he makes everybody so much better. And we're going to talk about the loss of Tez Johnson here in just a minute, but he's just so in sync and in chemistry with a lot of these different targets on this offense. I feel he makes them better, throwing them into better situations, certainly as well. I think he's the best quarterback in the country. I think he is smack dab right there in the middle of the Heisman Trophy conversation. He's the best quarterback on the best team, on the best offense right now. Can he do it? We'll see, but he's certainly sporting that number 8 proudly in Oregon Duck country as well. Let's talk about the depth. Of course, Tez Johnson going down on a return early in this game. That's your playmaker. When we talk about Dillon Gabriel being comfortable, a big reason why maybe he's comfortable in this offense is because, yeah, I can get it to 15. I can throw it out there, and he can certainly make plays. He's certainly got a lot of electricity. But this is that depth of talent that we talked about. Okay, and it's ironic that this happened in the game where Terrence Ferguson came back at tight end, where Jordan Birch came back on the defensive line, and now you have Tez Johnson go down, and that's where Trayshawn Holden really steps up. Okay, Trayshawn Holden, 6 catches, 149 yards receiving in this game, and getting those big plays, chunk plays, explosive plays down the field is where Trayshawn Holden and his game really steps in and where he really makes his mark on this Oregon offense. We know what Evan Stewart is. Now, if you get Trayshawn Holden playing, this is what the depth does. When one guy goes down, we saw it happen with Mateo Uyunglele stepping up into a bigger role. We saw it at linebacker earlier this season when Bassa was down, right? You saw Devin Jackson step up. You saw Bryce Betcher step up. And now what happens? You have a better and a deeper rotation now at the linebacker position. Same with D-line. Same at tight end with Kenyon Sadiq and Patrick Herbert, right? Now Tez Johnson goes down. That gives Trayshawn Holden an opportunity to step up and be a main guy. Well, now you're just now this Oregon offense just becomes that much better when Trayshawn, and we knew Trayshawn was a tremendous talent, but now when he's able to do it in front of a national audience, now when he's able to do it in front of everybody, right, and he's able to prove that he can go out and have number 1 guy type of numbers, that just makes this Oregon offense so much more dangerous, and maybe the coaching staff can take what they saw from Trayshawn and implement it a little bit later on in the season. Now, outside of Evan Stewart, we'll see what happens with the injury status of Tez Johnson. You've got Trayshawn in there. Gary Bryant, remember him from last year? He's kind of been banged up this season as well, so we'll see what happens with him. But this is man, it's just, I see this performance from Trayshawn Holden, and it should scare defenses that much more that they have just another weapon in their arsenal that can have that type of game that can stretch the field, certainly. Like that as well. I think depth may be the greatest weapon that this Oregon Ducks have. I'm not sure if there's a deeper team in all of college football, certainly right now. I thought the defense for Oregon did what they were supposed to do in this game. Now, the one thing that maybe you could push back on them, and we talked about that adversity at the beginning of this reaction. The adversity wore number 18 in maize and blue today. It's Colston Loveland or bust right now for this Michigan offense. Loveland, 7 catches, 112 yards. He had 42% of Michigan's offensive production. Now, I will say this about the last 2 weeks, right? When they put in Davis Warren back at quarterback, he's playing cleaner football. I think now he's playing with a little bit more confidence in this Michigan offense, and I think Kirk Campbell and Sharon Moore have a little bit more confidence in him now throwing the ball down the field. And this production to Colston Loveland, that's great. But I think the thing that's still lacking about this Michigan offense right now is this run game. Now, Oregon is a very stout defense up front, so let's put that into perspective, certainly just a little bit. Your leading rusher, Kaleo Mullings, 8 carries for 16 yards in this game. And I know maybe these numbers from these running backs might not be as prolific because they're bringing in Alex Orji and a lot more run packages, and they're getting a little bit more spark in their offense and their run game that way. But this is still, if Michigan wants to be competitive in some of these games, because they got Indiana on the schedule, they got Ohio State a little bit later on in the schedule. If they want to be competitive in some of these games, they need that run game certainly to be effective. I think there are some things for Michigan to be optimistic about and what their passing offense is looking like right now. I bet there's some Michigan faithful out there that kind of wish that this stuff was figured out a little bit in advance, and maybe they would have been able to beat someone like Washington, or maybe to win some of those closer games a little bit early on in the season. I want to make sure that I touch on this for Michigan. You can have a 2-score game. I thought that play calling down the stretch was a little bit perplexing, and I thought it was a little bit backwards. So you've got a run on 3rd down when Davis Warren is in the game. Right, and I understand if you're playing for 4th down, you feel that you can set yourself up for that. But then they bring in Alex Orji on 4th down, which we know he's just a running threat, and that's what was the trick play pass, and it was just getting a little bit too cute for me in that situation. I thought Davis Warren would have been the option to go with in that 4th down situation, but if you kind of flip-flop the play calls, yeah, maybe that's still not going in the right direction, certainly for the Wolverines. But I will say this, under 8 minutes to go in the game, I think you got to put in the key situations, you got to put the ball into the hands of Davis Warren and try to find 18 in maize and blue at that specific moment in time. So that was something that kind of perplexed me a little bit, certainly down the stretch for the Michigan Wolverines. But big win for the Oregon Ducks as they keep on rolling. You know, sometimes it's just, there was a lot that I watched in this Oregon game, and I'm like, I'm kind of struggling to come up with some really key talking points to talk about. Sometimes you just battle through and you win a game by 3 scores. That's exactly what happened to the Oregon Ducks here today. So I want to know what you guys think of this game in the comments below. Does this game kind of change you at all in terms of Oregon and how you view them in the Big Ten race and the national picture? How about that Trayshawn Holden? How do you feel about the depth of this Oregon team? It just seems week by week by week, they just get deeper and deeper and deeper. And some of these second-team guys, in this case, like a number 3 wide receiver like Trayshawn Holden, it just seems like they get more dangerous and more dangerous and more dangerous every single week that goes by. So leave everything Michigan and Oregon thoughts in the comments below. I'm Big Ten Ted. We'll see you in the next one.
Thanks for watching Big Ten Ted, where it's all Big Ten all year long. Make sure to like the video to spread the word of Big Ten Ted to the masses, and subscribe to the channel for updates on Big Ten content that drops every day.